Hey, and welcome everybody to Looks Good From Here, the show where we talk to designers and educators and creative thinkers shaping what the web looks like and what it really takes to get there. I'm Nick from SquareKicker, and in each episode, we will go in beyond the scroll to uncover the stories and decisions and the messy middle behind the beautiful work. Today, I'm chatting with Kristine, a powerhouse Squarespace designer and strategist with deep expertise in e-commerce and integrations and staying ahead of the curve when it comes to tech. Kristine is known for building smart, scalable systems for her clients, from online stores to advanced automations, and she recently relaunched her website about Kristine, and the example of how to mix clarity and creativity and strategy into one sleek package. Love it. In this episode, we're diving into e-commerce on Squarespace, managing consistent updates, and how to choose the right tools for your workflow. Kristine, how are you doing today?
I am good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm great. It's super exciting to do this with you today. We've met in person a few times, and obviously we've had a few chats online as well. And yeah, you're just a delight to talk to. So I'm looking forward to all of our chats. So I just have a couple questions for you, but before we really dip into the messy middle of everything, we'd just love to get a bit of a story behind the name. So what would be kind of some advice you have for maybe some folks who are looking at, maybe they have a brand name that's themselves, maybe they have a different name, a company name, like what are the kind of pros and cons for using your own name as a logo?
Yeah. I think that you should decide to do it if like people are coming to you as the strategist, like they are hiring your brain, you know? And so for me, I think that like how I knew that was the right thing to do is when like clients of my agency would, like they'd have a new project and they'd be like, no, I want to work with Kristine on this, and I was like, no, this teammate is amazing. You should totally work with her. Like I knew that people were wanting to work with me.
Right.
And I kind of wanted to take ownership of like, these are my thoughts. This is my work, or but I know, there's a lot of people I think who do have like business names. I can't think of any off the top of my head, and I think that works well if like you're in a little niche, like say you are like, I only do like say Squarespace websites for whatever X profession. I think if like your business name kind of caters to that, like that might work really well versus like Kristine Neo. Like I mean nothing to that profession, but if I was like surfboard Squarespace, like
Square
like that,
surfboard.
Exactly. Squares. Someone buy the domain right now.
There's too many Square names out there now. I think we've taken them all, so they're all gone.
Exactly.
They're all been trademarked.
Yeah, I think like it depends on your audience, but it also depends on like the voice you want to take. Like I wanted to do like what you said, where it's like I wanted to be okay writing like I and me, and not use that like we have a great blah, blah. Like it just felt like inauthentic, So I was like, well, why?
Now it's just you.
Yeah.
And it isn't just you, or is it just you? Do you work with other people? Do you have contractors? Do you have other teammates?
It's just me. My dog and cat are great contractors. My husband, not so much. If you ask him about how web design works, he would have no idea. That's fine. I can't explain to you what he does. I do have like other people that I'll partner up with, So like Christy Price, our friend we all know and love, like every now and again, she'll say, hey, I'm working on a, site design, but I don't want to do the shop at all. And so, I've worked with her on a few sites where it's like, great, I'll take care of the shop portion, let me take that off your plate. And then that way we can serve the end client better, Yeah,
that's cool. Well, congrats on the relaunch. I love the rebranding as well. It's pretty exciting. But for you, how was the process of branding you? Like that kind of seems like a weird process to be like, okay, well, I'm a brand now, and what does it look like to brand yourself?
It's not good.
It's not good.
It's It is not fun.
Yeah.
I think that like we're all like our worst clients,
Hmm.
right? And I was actually telling some of our other Squarespace friends about that. And I actually had to tell them, like, this is what I want to do. And I need you to like hold me accountable
Okay.
because I've been like noodling on this for a long time. And if you don't, I need you. I was having coffee with my friend Becca from Inside the Square. And I actually said to her, so we were done having coffee. And I said, so you're going to go home? I said, will you text me in 1 hour and like make me send you a link to
Hmm.
preview? Because I was like, I just have to like
Yeah.
I just have to do it. It's really hard. It's really hard to be your own client.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
not fun.
Yeah. All right, let's switch tactics a little bit and let's talk about
Okay.
e-commerce because you are
Yeah.
like the e-commerce queen of Squarespace. And I know that's
Okay.
not your title, but you do
It's
have a
okay.
crown and you wear it sometimes, I'm sure. But so you've built probably some of the smartest little e-commerce sites on Squarespace. You've been on Somewhat Useful talking about e-commerce. I think you've been on Circle Live talking about e-commerce as well.
So yeah,
You've been
I
on
started
various
Circle Day a few
Circle
years
Day.
ago
Yeah,
about
you've
e-commerce.
just been anyone everywhere about e-commerce on Squarespace, which is really exciting. And when you're recommending Squarespace to a
Yes.
client
Mhm.
and you have to sit there and convince them or it's super easy, like how do you find that conversation to share with them the right platform for them? Because you don't just
Yeah.
work on Squarespace, you've done other e-commerce platforms as well. But tell us
Yes.
about that experience. What's it like to sell Squarespace as an e-commerce platform?
It's actually getting easier, I think,
Mhm.
as like Squarespace is maybe more widely known, but it's always a surprise to me how many clients don't really care.
Yeah,
Like
right.
you don't have to sell them on a platform because what you're selling to them is the results of that platform. So if you tell
Mm,
them like I can tell your brand story and I can get people to add to cart and I can get the money to your bank account, like like that's what they're interested in. So I don't think the conversation in 2025 is necessarily about like
right.
why should you be on Squarespace? I feel like I've
Hmm.
had the like Squarespace versus Shopify conversation a million
Hmm.
times. There's blog posts, you can read them. They're all, somewhat accurate. It's really hard though to generalize everybody. So like there's always exceptions to the rule.
Mm,
What I'm always talking to people about though is that like we need to get past just having a conversation about like the e-commerce functionality of it. Like the cart
hmm.
is like pretty well engineered at this point. Like
Yeah.
everyone's carts are the same. Everyone's connecting it to Stripe. Even Squarespace Payments is built on Stripe. Shop Pay
Yeah.
is basically Stripe. It's all like the function is there. And so then I like to talk to people about like the why of things. Like how do you communicate to your customers? Like how do we tell your story? How do we
Mm,
compel them to even click a button? Like those things are so important. And I usually end up saying that like we need to be on Squarespace in order to have like the creative freedom
mm,
to do those things well.
yeah.
So like when you frame it in that sense, when you're like, well, it's more important that we tell your story or connect with your customers or whatever. Like we can get the cart to check out. Like I
Yeah.
could link to anything for the like cart
Hmm.
functionality. I
Yeah.
think that when you think about it that way, like it kind of becomes like a no-brainer, you know?
Mm. You're right, because the storytelling, I mean, that's primarily why people choose Squarespace, because it's
Yeah,
easy to tell a story because
yeah,
it's not complex to use. A client can do it themselves. I know other platforms you can story tell as well, but it's harder. Like you have I mean, other platforms to name them out loud. Like Shopify, I used to use a lot of Shopify as a web
yeah,
designer in the past when, Squarespace kind of hit a limit for me that it was
yeah,
just harder to code. I would use Shopify.
yeah,
And that was cool, but it was three times the price of a
yeah,
Squarespace site because it was a lot of effort to code some of those things that if there was just more so than to actually code them in Squarespace, it was still easier to maybe and code it in Squarespace or in Shopify
yeah,
rather. But man, to update it's super painful. Like, hey, I just want to update the color of a button. You
yeah,
can't You can't do
So,
that. No,
yeah.
you have to get me to code the option for you to color the button. They're like, what? Like, yeah, that's not built in. Like, you have to get a developer to make that for you. Where Squarespace, as we know, doesn't have those kind of limitations. And
Right.
obviously with SquareKicker, we hope to be making those customizations even easier. However, when you're talking to people who have already made up their mind, maybe of like, okay, I heard Squarespace is just for DIY websites. I need a real website. Like, do you ever have those kind of conversations?
Yeah, I had one this morning actually. A potential client, we were just doing kind of a discovery call, like like let's feel this out. And he has what's ultimately a two-product shop. Okay? Two
Two
basically core
products.
products. There's a few like add-ons, but like essentially these are two main SKUs. Everyone has been telling him like you got to be on Shopify. That's, and I'm always like, who's
Mhm.
everyone in this instance?
Who's this everyone?
Who's,
I don't know
you
this
know,
everyone's name. Can you tell me their
yeah,
last name?
exactly. I'm like, did you see a commercial or like explain to me more about this? And it's really, I think, our job as like Squarespace designers or even just web designers, because not just on Squarespace, to like help educate people. And I always do that. Like I ask, what's that Socratic method? Like you ask why 7 times and you get to like the real.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, well,
Real
why do
thing.
you think that? Well, why this? Why? And then you finally are like, okay. And so we get down to the bottom of the like, you get down to the meat of it, and it's like, you need a Squarespace website, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Like you do not need to be on Shopify. You have
Mm-hmm.
two SKUs, like maybe six if you count the add-ons, you
Yeah, the
know?
variants of different colors.
Right, exactly. And I'm like, what you are is an emerging brand who does not yet have a huge audience, who is going to have to work on creating a lot of content to
Mhm.
educate customers, like build the following, do all of this. And I was like, you are going to pull teeth doing that on Shopify.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
the other thing it does, is like you said, puts it in an entirely different price bracket. And I
Totally.
think that like kind of going back to like my origin story here, I think that there's something really cool to me about like how Squarespace is almost like it's made so much more accessible the ability to sell online, like to the small and medium
Mhm.
business. Um, that I think that you don't have to spend that much money to have a really great website.
Mhm.
I think that you shouldn't have to also be beholden to a developer to be like, I took a new product photo today.
Mhm.
You should be able to just add that yourself,
Mhm.
like,
Okay,
yeah.
well, let's say you find or meet a client that's got a
Okay.
more than two SKUs. Okay, like lots of SKUs.
Lots of SKUs.
I mean, for me personally, I've met some of these clients and in the past, and yeah, this is before Squarespace's e-commerce was just gone gangbusters. Since COVID,
Yes.
they've kind of just really changed their e-commerce platform. And I knew it was people who in my local area who were selling Shopify sites. And that
Uh-huh.
was kind of like, okay, well, we only serve these kind of clients, basically medium or high or above. And
Uh-huh.
we're talking like these sites were a minimum of 100 grand. Like that's the kind of sites they're putting out. It's like, oh, right. I don't meet many of those clients. But in saying that, people are afraid, I think, to jump on a platform like, well, what happens if I scale someday? What if I need to go for the big thing and I need to get
Good
set up
problem.
to be
Good
like
problem
a
to
big
have.
boy business to make sure I actually can scale? But I heard an interview that you were on with Will and Christy was something useful, and you shared something that I was like, wait, say that again, and it
Oh, I'm
was
so
around.
curious.
I'm still to this day like blown away, but I started thinking about it going, oh, I've had that same issue is that you can actually sell more products on Squarespace than on
Oh,
Shopify. And I was like, wait, what? Slow
yes.
down a second. Like, what do you mean? And then you
Yes.
started to go into it. Can you unpack that again for me? Because it was just like revolutionary for me.
Yeah, so it's they all do it based on like there's number of products, and then products can have variants, and then you multiply the number of options, then you get to this
Mm.
max. Squarespace right now I think is maxed at 10,000 products and 250 variants.
Wow.
Okay. In theory, Shopify allows an unlimited number of products. So if you're Amazon, you have
Hmm.
10,001 plus products, right? That's
Yep.
Shopify's for you. Um, but they cap it at 100 variants.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's 100. And so that you think like, oh, that's a lot. But say you're selling t-shirts and you have
Hmm.
them in 5 colors, 5 sizes, option of this. You start multiplying this out, like one product can easily have hundreds and hundreds
Mm.
of variants. And so you have to start to get really strategic about it. And this is the wild card on Shopify, the like asterisk fine print is that this you could do all of this on Shopify if you paid for a third-party add-on. If
Oh,
you paid
yeah.
for an app from their app store. And
Hmm.
I think that Shopify out of the box is like pretty basic and it works for a lot of things. But if we're just comparing apples to apples, we should just be on Squarespace because you get
Hmm.
all these other benefits, right? You
Hmm.
have all of these other built-in perks. And it's for an all-in price because there's nothing I hate more than being like nickel and dimed with like a monthly subscription for a contact form
Hmm.
or to embed my
100%.
Instagram feed or to be able to exceed that product limit, you know? So it's like, yes, it's possible. But when you start adding up the cost of doing that, I just wonder if there's a return on investment there.
Mm,
And
totally.
yeah.
I actually, as you were speaking, I remember that third party app because I had a client who had that same thing. They had thousands of shops, products rather than SKUs. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, yeah, yeah, totally. Like, you're going to totally need Shopify. And they're like, okay, cool. Sounds good. You're a big shop, lots of things. And we got into it and we're like, yeah, it's not going to work. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's only 100, variants and you've got, X amount of things and it's hard to multiply the math. You need to have like way more variants because they
Thousands
had
of
all
things.
these option size colors. I think they were pens, like pens had different
Uh,
kind of colors and sizes and ballpoints, and it was just insane. And so I had to go and get this app that had to pay however many dollars a month for the life of the site just to have more variants. And I remember thinking at the time, maybe I shouldn't have recommended Shopify for them
well,
because it wouldn't have been way cheaper elsewhere. But at the time, I was like, well, that's all I knew. I thought it would to handle it. And actually, Squarespace would have been a better option.
yeah, I think that in that case, I mean, you probably did the right thing. I think that for highly customizable products, Shopify does really well. Like say the t-shirts we were talking about needed to be embroidered, and it was like how much I need it to be this many cents or dollars or whatever per letter. It's really difficult to do that on Squarespace in an elegant way. So like any kind of like build your own box situation, like
Hmm.
that's really great on Shopify, and that's you have to just build in the cost of the app. Like that
Hmm.
has to happen. Otherwise, from like a customer journey perspective, I'm always like, how do we simplify this? Sure, we might have to fit within a few other constraints on Squarespace, but would that ultimately have been a better customer journey anyways?
Hmm.
Because what I know about the psychology of people making decisions on a website, right, is the more you give them, the harder it is for them to actually get to the add the cart to the finish line, right?
Yeah.
Because they get decision fatigue, and we all make so many like decisions, see so much content online every day, and we should be making our customers' lives easier and not harder.
Mm.
So maybe we could have simplified this and come out with a better, like then it's a win-win, right? It's
Hmm.
cheaper and people have an easier time using it. That
Yeah.
seems like a
Totally.
no-brainer to me, right?
Less is more, and sometimes just
Yeah.
adding on a whole bunch of different apps and subscriptions to your thing just for the sake of it because you think it'll be better isn't necessarily the best. And like you said, like the value proposition, like overheads, like okay, if you are spending X amount of dollars a month on keeping this thing alive, you need to sell that much just to make even. And so the more overheads you have, obviously, the better, and or the worse rather. And I know we thought about that. For this exact same reason, coming from the Shopify world, when we made SquareKicker, I did not want to hand off a product to a designer who said, "Hey, now you have to pay for this thing forever, client.
Or
Sorry." And
and
I
it's
just, yeah,
one of the
that
things
was,
I actually really love about SquareKicker because it's like I can pay for it and use it while I'm using it, and
mhm,
then my client can go on their way. And if they
it's
need to
done.
do something again, we can, but it's so smart. It's so
Yeah.
smart.
Yeah. And it was for this allergic reaction I had to giving a client a Shopify app that I had to pay for because I couldn't build it. I even told them sometimes that I could build it in X amount of hours. It's going to cost you $1,000, or we can hire this or build this app for $20 a month. And every time they're like, yeah, nah, just build it. It's like, are you sure it's like $2,000? Like, yeah, just build it. I don't want to pay for that in an app. And I was like, oh man, that just the subscription fatigue is real. And so
Uh-huh.
yeah, so when we built SquareKick, it was like, no, subscription fatigue is just you pay for when you build it, and then you're out. Unless you need it in for your business to make multiple websites all the time, that's where the best value comes from. And then you actually need it to help save you time. So actually you're paying for time back. Looking at a couple other things about Squarespace and their conversion. You've written or were part of a blog on Squarespace, the pro.squarespace. We'll put a link in the show notes for people to read it, but there's a few cool tips that you've added into this blog, and I had a bit of read over it, and it's quite exciting. I thought, man, I wish I had this resource when I was making e-commerce sites for clients, because I probably would have done things very differently. But what would be the top few things that maybe designers overlook when it comes to building and optimizing online stores?
Oh, I wonder what I said in that blog. Don't you
Well, I'll
ever
let you know if
feel
it's
like,
accurate or not then. I'll look at my site on the side. No, I mean, yeah, from your just off the head, we'll put the link in the show notes. People
what
can
am I,
investigate more things.
should I Google what I said? I mean, I think that most people probably, I mean, I think this in general, not just about like e-commerce sites. I think most people probably spend too much time thinking or writing about themselves and not enough time focusing on the customer. And
Right.
so I see this a lot in product descriptions where people feel like they have to say like, I ventured to this place to hand source this product material, and this has been my life's work, and that's great, but what's going to compel somebody to add to cart is if you explain how your product benefits them. And so I think that like we spend a lot of time, this goes back to like we're our own worst clients, right? Like we spend too much time talking about ourselves and not enough time talking to our clients or to our customers' benefits.
Yeah.
What did I
Have you?
say? Did I say
mean,
that in that blog at
you
all?
said too many things that this show can hold. So that's why I thought I'd give you an opportunity to share. But there's so much gold in there. There was
That's
talking
what I'm
about.
feeling today. So I'm sure
Yeah.
the others were like whatever was top of mind at that moment.
No,
It was
that's great.
usually like in response to like a project I'm working on at the moment. I'm like, well, let me tell you,
Yeah.
right now the problem is this.
Yeah, you actually have quite a few different blog posts about different things that you can improve and optimize your shop and things to look at. And yeah, so I think it's a really cool resource you've got on your blog, and also in that specific article in Squarespace, which talks about conversion rates, getting success. And I think, I wonder if we can apply some of those to SquareKicker's site, and just rethinking that, and things that you just said earlier about not talking about yourself so much. That's really, I'm not sure if you've heard of story brand, because that's a very story brand mindset of, you are not the hero. Like the people visiting your site don't want to listen to you talk. They want to know how you can help them be the hero, and I think that really resonates with me a lot when I think about, in an e-commerce site. Like I've definitely helped build people e-commerce sites. And then you're right, like we went on this journey about where the coffee comes from, until it got to the point about how awesome I am and how my coffee is the best. And then you're like, well, it could be, but they want to know why it tastes so good and why they need this thing in their life. So it was a good reminder that actually you're telling a story, and who's the story about? Is it about you, or is it about how great, rather how great the product is, or about how great the person is going to feel when they receive that product of yours?
Right. Like what problem are you solving, or how are you improving their life, or in what way are you impacting their world, Yeah, so many, I think that like we probably just all say too much. I also think that a lot of that conversation doesn't even happen on the website. Like most people are like, they maybe follow a brand they're kind of interested in on social, or if they're like local to them, like maybe I've walked by your shop a couple times. I saw you at the farmer's market. And I'm kind of already interested. And so by the time I make it to your website, like I'm already past like awareness stage. Like I'm at like, how do I get your product to my door? And so like anything you do to get in the way of that is, again, just you're like throwing roadblocks out. And it's like, I wish some people would just get out of their own way, like just get out of the way. Like let people just buy their product. You're working too hard.
Yeah, I think it's funny because in the States, it's very different. When you're going to retail stores, you can't get into the door without someone running to you at full sprint asking for help. And maybe that's a really good strategy. I think my first job ever, I worked at a CD records we sold, tapes and
Yes.
everything,
Tapes, yeah.
I think we sold tapes and CDs and DVDs. They definitely don't exist now, but we were told within 5 seconds, you need to be talking to that person, like ask them how they need, how can you help, what are they looking for? And if you didn't, it was a fail. And it's it's a similar kind of thing over in the States, maybe still, but in New Zealand, it's very much like you're in the shop and like, I don't want to talk to anyone. Please don't ask me 6 times if I need help. There's 8 people here. I'm going to get asked 8 different times now I don't want that. I just want to come in and browse. And then if I like something, I'll ask questions, or be available to ask questions after it looks like I'm around. The worst is when you're looking for something and you're like, I can't find it. And then you look around and you're like, now I have no one to actually help me. And I think,
where was that person?
yeah. And I think the website is kind of the same. Like you're coming in, like, don't yell, don't throw things in the left and right. And then if they need help, like, where do I go to find the information about shipping or the refunds, or how do I just get access to the things I need to know? And it doesn't have to be hard to find the people I'm looking for to talk to. And then, I totally resonate with that as well. Just thinking about how I go shopping in the real world at a retail store.
Yeah, you're like, I walk in, I don't want to be inundated. So I'm like, okay, what's the online equivalent of that? Pop up, right?
Yeah.
You want to subscribe? And I'm like, I don't even know. I haven't made a decision yet. Why are you asking me? So, and it's also why I always I talk a lot about FAQ pages, even though they're really kind of boring. I'm like, that's the gold on an e-commerce site.
Right.
But make that FAQ page so solid, make it super prominent, or have like a live chat widget, even if it just feeds your knowledge base,
Would you even put that in like your main navigation, or where would you put that so it's super easy to find?
I'd put it in the main navigation if I didn't have like a lot of shop categories. Otherwise, I like main navigation to be highly like actionable. If you have room for like a secondary nav, then I'd put like shop categories, main nav, and then I'd do like FAQ, contact, like support kind of stuff in like a secondary nav.
Okay, cool.
Otherwise,
I like that idea.
Footer, the junk drawer footer.
Junk drawer. Put everything in the footer. It's the man drawer. Looking back at some other sites that you might have made in the past without all the knowledge that you know now, can you think about any things that you used to do that you maybe cringe at a little bit?
I mean, aside from just like strange design choices where you're like, oh, well, that was a moment. I think probably for me personally, the worst type of projects are always the ones where I'm asked to rush.
Okay.
And I've learned now that if somebody comes and like in the contact form, they're like, I'm launching in 3 weeks and I'm going to do there. And then it's like a level of panic that like, these are not my people. And that's fine because there's someone out there who does, their website in a week, or they've got some kind of design day intensive, whatever. Those people have a process and a system set up to do that type of work. I do not perform well in that instance. If there's a lot of times where I could probably launch any given site in a couple of days, but I think that I enjoy having the time to be more thoughtful and to be more strategic and to plan for things. And so like looking back, like some of the biggest disasters are always the ones where it's like I skipped some of those steps, like I allowed someone to like talk me into like, oh no, it's okay. I'm going to get it all together and it's going to be I've got 2 weeks. And it's like, that never pans out for me at least. It's just not me. So
yeah. So you actually give advice on the content structure as well. You're not just obviously getting hand a bunch of content. Here's my website. Can you make it for me? You actually go through with them and work with them and strategize on how to actually put together the sitemap of the site as well.
Yes, usually. Sometimes people come with everything because they've hired a copywriter or somebody in advance. But I love organizing. I love untangling the mess of things because to me, it's that if it's not become abundantly clear yet, like the journey and like the story and everything is so important to me. It's also really important to me, like that we refine all of the little interactions to be as like smooth as possible. So like, how do we get from A to D in 1 click versus 3, like I hate unnecessary clicks. So I'm
Yeah.
always like, well, that's great, but what if we moved this up a slot? I always tell people I'm not a great copywriter, but I'm a really good editor. So if like they can get all of their thoughts out, like I'm pretty good at like, oh, that one sentence you had in that third paragraph down, like that'd be a really killer headline. Like we should move that up. So I'm usually talking like stuff like that to my clients where I'm like, if you can get me the mess of things, I will untangle it.
Right. And it's a very different website, as you can say, people just give you a website. Here's all my content. Can you make a website in the next 3 days, where you don't have that time to actually cipher some of those details? There's no budget for you to actually do that kind of site. And so you kind of pay for what you get in the end of the day, because your worth is actually not in just putting together pieces, it's actually solving problems, like you just said.
Yeah. Exactly. And again, it goes back to like the Squarespace community is so strong that like there's some really amazing providers out there that would, that if that's truly the need, like I've got some friends, let me make some introductions. Maybe you need a SquareKicker template. Maybe you need like, can I introduce you to somebody who has this package that is going to be perfect for you? So I love making intros. I love saying no to projects. I love being the one who like connects someone to somebody else. If only because then it's like I've stayed true to myself. I've been like, this is just not the right project for me. I've made this connection. I've served them well by connecting them with someone who might do better, So
Let's switch gears just a little bit. Let's talk about tools and tech stack, because we've talked a lot about clients, about e-commerce, about websites, and we also have the tools that you use on an every given basis, rather. And Squarespace is one that we've talked about a lot, and it's one that we use a lot. But it's constantly evolving, not changing. It's getting better, adding more things, doing more exciting pieces to it. There's things we could talk to 7.1 and Fluid Engine, and there's a whole bunch of cool things. E-commerce that just keeps rolling out. And I love getting the circle updates, but what's coming up in the future. And it's really exciting to see where it's going. But how do you manage then from, selling websites to clients and looking ahead, and with these new updates and features, how do you manage that kind of journey with discovery about what solutions and problems are best to fit based on the given tools in Squarespace?
Yeah. I mean, it's fun, like, sometimes seeing like what's coming down the pipe, kind of like you're saying, like, oh, I know this cool thing's coming out, but I really like sticking to tried and true. I want things to have been thoroughly tested, thoroughly debugged. And I'm usually of the mindset, like, the simpler the solution, the better. So I'm not always the first adopter, like product add-ons when they came out with that feature. I didn't put that on a live client site for a long time because I was like, people are making tweaks. They're changing how the, how this looks, how this functions. There were some little bugs, and that's fine. That's part of the process. That's, that's the nature of the beast. But I didn't immediately run out and be like, hey, everyone, let's do this. I let it kind of stew a little. So I think that in a way, it takes the pressure off also. Like, you don't feel like I'm not playing chase, like, just because someone's moved here. I'm just going to kind of playing the long game,
I mean, that sounds awesome to me. I mean, from someone who makes products and has beta features, I'm really happy that you're the kind of person who isn't rolling out beta features on client websites, even though it clearly says do not. It happens all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But then you obviously take a long road to figure out which features, which tools are going to be the best. You try them out yourself. It's been proven.
I will personally, like on the personal sandbox side, I've tried everything. I sign up for like any new, like I've been in every email marketing platform. I've been in every, like just name it. Every project management tool. I've tried them all. If only because I kind of feel like, well, I have to have tried it in order to say, no, I really dislike this, or like I really like it. Like I have to have an opinion, right?
Yeah. Well, then tell us, like, what are like the best tools that you found then? Because of all this time and research into it, what tools would you say are like your non-negotiables? Like, these are the things I need in my business.
Okay, it's gonna be shockingly dull.
Oh,
So, shockingly dull
I'm ready.
answer.
All right.
Yeah.
Hold on to
Project
something.
management
Hold on
tool.
to this
Yes.
plaid parrot.
Project. You got a parrot? Look, I have an elephant.
Yeah. It's okay.
Um, um, project management. I've used them
Hmm.
all, right? I've done the ClickUp, the Trello, the Asana, I've done them all. You want to know what I use?
I want
You'll
to know
never
so bad
guess.
right now.
Google Doc.
Oh my gosh.
Checklist.
Looks.
Google Doc checklist. You know why? Clients love it. And they don't want to have to learn a new system just because it's
Hmm.
where I work.
Hmm.
I'm tech friendly, obviously. I could work in any of them. But my goal, like I've always said, is like how do I make my clients' life easier? And if whatever like if and honestly, if they didn't even want to get into a Google Doc, if they just wanted to like have a chit chat via email thread, fine.
Hmm.
I will meet you where you are because
Hmm.
I don't want someone to have to be, well, working with her was just so hard. And
Hmm.
it's feedback that I get from clients all the time is like, you made this easy,
Hmm.
you, I think that we ask sometimes our clients to come too much into our world and play with the tools that we love, like
Hmm.
come in, play with ClickUp with me, get into Notion. And I think clients are like, no, yeah, there's a
Yeah.
reason why I sell soap down at the farmer's market, and it's not to be in Notion.
Yeah. So you've got clients who are client facing on these things, but do you do anything behind the scenes that you're using for your business that is not, is it everything just in Google Docs or emails or
I
how are
do.
you
I
managing
do love
things?
a checklist in a Google
Yeah.
Doc. I have been playing with workflow doc design.
Hmm.
That's pretty clean. I like a like not fussy interface. So for project management, that's been kind of fun to play with. I did have a lot of things in ClickUp for a while. It just got too buggy. I had to like
Hmm.
abandon ship.
Hmm.
I tried so hard to get into the Notion game, and
Hmm.
my brain just, I spent so much time working on Notion that I was not actually working on my work
Right.
because I could fiddle all day in Notion. And that
Like
to
there's
me
a
is
day, it's
right.
gone.
Like, but that's not productive time. Like I
Mm.
should be doing the work as opposed to like working on the work or working on the tool that organizes the work
Yeah.
or. So yeah, that's I said it was going to be a really dull answer. Like
That's great. Like
I could
paper and
live
pen, throw it at me. I'll write it down.
I was like,
Oh,
I could live in like the Google suite of products. I'm
that's
like,
so
give me a
cool.
spreadsheet, give me a doc. Um,
Mm. I really love how you simplified it, not just for, obviously your client's sake, because it's if it's hard for the client to use and know what to use it, and but also for your sake. Like if you're wasting hours of your day and time trying to manage your files, like this is just a waste of time. Like I'm getting paying myself by the hour. If I was an employee of myself, which I am, what would
oh
I
yeah,
want to pay myself to be doing is not managing all these files in a nice tidy order. Because
yeah,
sometimes if you got that many different things and projects going on, it can be helpful to see it all. But if you're spending half your day just making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed just so that
uh-huh.
lines up. And I think
Or
you play with Zapier to make everything else go into this nice
ugh,
folders. That takes ages to set up too. So
yes, I mean, I do like to automate things. Canned emails. I mean, this is another like it's very low tech. Everyone should have canned emails in their Gmail. Like just have those ready to go so that it's like
Mhm.
the automatic like response to
Mhm.
like this isn't the right fit, response for this isn't the right timeline, response for whatever. And again, I'm
Mm.
just I will take the shortcuts where I can, but I want them to be as low tech as possible.
Right.
So
That's so interesting to hear. I love this about you. Just like, oh yeah,
this
I'm like,
is
I know
this
everything
is
about every tech, but I use none of it.
I
I've
know there's
decided
that
too
meme out
complex.
there where they were like most techie people are the type where I think there's like they have like no tech in their house except for the printer, and they keep a baseball bat next to it in case anything goes wrong. They're ready to like go to war at any given moment. We'll find the meme and I'll share it with you. But it's just like no, like the most tech people like who really know the tech are going to be very tech converse. 'Cause they're like, I know that
Interesting.
this could break at any given moment. Like the code that is stringing this together is so
Hmm.
nefarious.
I
This
love
is
it.
we're on borrowed time.
Awesome. Hey, we're gonna move into a last kind of three pieces before we finish up today, and they're kind of ongoing segments, and just kind of shifting the gears to nothing too serious, but just a way to get a little bit more behind the scenes with yourself. So, first thing is, I love it because we're on video, we're on YouTube, we can share screens. It's not a podcast. We're just hanging out on the screen. Can you share your website with us? Because it's something you've recently obviously launched and rebranded. And I personally, there's a couple of wee things about your site that I love, and I love to kind of point them out.
Thanks. Well, thanks, SquareKicker.
I do recognize SquareKicker on it. Yep.
Do you?
There's a couple of telltales.
I was getting so bored with my site. It had been the same for a while. I also had a lot on it. So I just was feeling, I wanted to have fun again, you know? Like I'm very minimalist. I don't like a lot of clutter, but I felt like things were getting really boring. And so I felt like I needed to have a little fun. So that's how we ended up here. But I felt like my website before was not necessarily a good indicator of like what it's like to actually speak to me. Like, I feel like I'm not a boring person. And I feel like my site was getting kind of stale. So yes, this is where I landed. I launched it actually just a week or so ago.
Wow, it's so cool.
Yes.
I mean, I have to say, like, I love your typography, like your whole site. I love the font. I looked it up. I was like, what is this font? It is so cool. Do you know what it's called?
It's called Rebrand Grotesque. And I did have to pay a pretty penny for it. And let me tell you, it was worth every cent because it just makes me so happy.
It's so cool.
It's like clean, but it has character. And so, yeah, I was really.
Yeah. And I love the colors as well. I love the contrast of the yellows and the gray. Is it green? What do you call that color?
Yeah, chartreuse, maybe.
Chartreuse. Yeah.
Poppy. I don't know. Olive. I'll give them fun like brand names. But,
yeah, brand names are the best. Don't use real names.
I love the my little pop out menu here. I just felt like I just needed a pop of happiness and yeah, I was like, oh, this makes me happy. Remember, and see how I just talked about how we shouldn't design our sites for ourselves, and then I just said I've made this because it makes me happy.
That's all right.
Our own worst clients.
It made me happy looking at it. I love all the different color. I mean, as I'm scrolling through the site, it's got a really nice feeling to it. So it's cool.
Thank you. Yes. The other thing I really wanted to do was just, so I mean, obviously we all use Chat GPT to like generate content ideas, but I really wanted to also just sound like myself. So I actually wrote this, but then I was like, Chat GPT, like clean up my writing, like make sure I'm like,
make sure I sound okay.
Like, totally bungle something. But I was like, I wanted to just sound like if you're talking to me, which I speak pretty kind of plainly. I sometimes am kind of witty or whatever. And I needed that to like, I needed this to feel like if you were having a phone call with me, or, you know, so that clients wouldn't get on a Google Meet and be like, who is this? You know,
who's this person?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I think what I love about your website as well, after just listening to you talk, is it's really clean and simple. Like, you're not getting in the way of your own self to like shout about how awesome you are and how it's quite clean. If you want to get in touch with me, here it is. If you want a couple FAQs, here it is. Otherwise, here's the work I do. Here's a blog. And it just summarizes what you offer and what you do. And then you're not loud and shouty about why you should hire me. It's quite nice and simple.
Yeah.
It's great.
I've also, I guess there a little bit of privilege comes with this site, and that's just, I've been at this for a long time. So 13 years or so on, you know, like owning an agency and then working independently. I have a lot of repeat and referral clients. So a lot of people come to me already knowing maybe who I am, or like with somebody else's like glowing stamp of approval, which I appreciate so much. Like that means so much to me. And so a lot of people don't have to come and then get sold again. It's why I put my LinkedIn here, because I was like, if you really want to go see my resume, like, I'm not going to waste my time on my website. Like, I did go to university. I've got a couple degrees. That's what LinkedIn's for, right?
Right. No, that's cool. Also, hey,
Thanks.
thanks for sharing. That's
Yep.
yeah, it's fun, and
Yes.
we'll put some links to your website in our show notes as well. All right, so I'm not sure if you have one, but we're gonna see what we come up with. Design confessions. Is there a project or a moment that maybe just didn't go to plan, and maybe there's some lessons that you've taken away from it?
Mm, I mean, in general, aside from the kind of like say no to rush projects, um, I mean, we've all had projects that have just really gone sideways. I would say that without picking on any one past client, um, I do have ones like I've had people say to me, "Oh, you must have like a really killer portfolio. Like you must have a great portfolio." And I've said to them like, "No, there's actually just a lot of like not there's just very average websites. You know, they're just very average. And the only thing that matters to me is that the customer loved them. So like this isn't really a horror story, but it's as it's more like not every piece has to be portfolio worthy and like that's okay. So for like any new designers who are like watching or listening, that if a project goes sideways, if like things do start to go off the
Right.
rails, that like it's okay. Like get it, it does not have to go in the portfolio. Like every project doesn't have to be award-winning, amazing work. And you are also not personally responsible for your clients' poor business decisions. So if they make really ugly choices, if they pick horrible fonts and disgusting colors, and they have the world's crappiest photos, there is nothing you can do about it unless they hired you to specifically do those things. If that's what they come with, then you build them a website and you ship it and you shut the door and you move on to the next client. So there's bad work. There's lots of bad work out there.
Do you tell them? Do you like, or do you just hold your mouth like closed and say, "Nah, I'm not going to say anything"?
You got to feel it out. It's a very like touch. Some, yes, you have to be diplomatic. Some people are more open to that feedback than others. And you can like you'll know right away. But I mean, there's some times where you just go like, "Great, I'd love to add that to your site," and then in the background you're like, "This was horrible."
Yeah.
And you just those are projects that you take because they paid the bills. They will never see the light of the day. Don't put your link in the footer. But that was you got paid and
Yeah.
the client moved on and that's it. Then that's okay. Or like it's okay if not every project is like I want to be able to add that logo into a logo reel on my homepage. Like because sometimes average people need average websites. Like
Yep.
one of my clients is this guy who sells car wash soap. And it is very basic and it is not flashy.
Yep.
And he loves his website and his website is functioning so well for his customers. And you
Right.
know what? That makes me so happy.
That's
But
awesome.
like nobody nobody's gonna judge this site as like winning a design awards.
Yep.
It's not the epitome of design,
Mm.
but it works.
That's a really actually good reminder that not every site has to be award worthy, and you want to submit it on a trophy cabinet somewhere else and print it off and put it on a t-shirt and say, "Look at this awesome website I'm super proud of." It's actually the client who walks away happy is the lesson. And I think that's a really cool reminder that actually they're your biggest selling points, not the portfolio. Your client is a walking testimony, and that's going to maybe get you more work than more portfolio projects on your website.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a cool takeaway.
Car wash guy has referred clients to me, you know, the
Right.
bigger other clients, you know,
Right.
because he was happy and he enjoyed the experience. But like, obviously I would have been like, well, we need better photos,
That's
you
awesome.
know? Yeah. So I don't know. That's
Cool.
the
Next,
how to make lemonade
that's how to
version
make lemonade.
answer to your question.
Off the grid is our last segment, and it talks about what is one thing outside of your work or your design that helps you stay creative and focused and just rested and reset.
Yeah. Taking a walk with the dog, taking a nap in the afternoon. I mean, naps are
That's why you work for
underrated.
yourself, right? So you can take naps.
Exactly.
In
Exactly. So I think that like rest is just really, really important. And like however that looks for you, everyone, I encourage it. You know, I don't think that like I was talking to somebody at Squarespace actually, and I won't name names. And they were like trying to make a very regimented morning routine for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, like 6 a.m., get up, do 7 precise yoga poses, drink 18 gallons of water, and I was like, yeah, I just get up, gotta feel what the day's bringing, gotta sit and have a cup of coffee, like
Mm-hmm.
that's what works for me. This level of chill is not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So
It
yeah.
makes a lot more sense why actually you've created a brand around your work, but it's kind of a brand for your life as well. You've actually created a business that's actually going to suit you as a person a lot better. I think a lot of
Imagine
entrepreneurs, that's
that.
the dream, like, to create
Right.
a business that actually doesn't just look like you, but feels like you as well. And actually your life and your work are actually is one and it kind of works together.
Yeah. And I think it's also really important to take on work that resonates from like a values perspective. So like if there's work, even if it was a good potential project, if like it's just feeling like a kind of like a values mismatch, or like this is just I really have to get like way outside my comfort zone to take this on.
Mm,
I think it's like worth being like self-aware enough to be like, no, this is gonna be an energy suck. You
mm-hmm.
know, I I I have to take on work that feels like good. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, that pretty much wraps us up, but thanks so much, Kristine, for being a guest on the show. It was so much fun to hang out with you and get to know you a little bit more as well. And I've definitely personally taken away a few things I wasn't anticipating. So yeah, it's been
Okay.
awesome.
Hopefully good things. Sometimes I just I'm always like when you're like I started reading this old blog post, I was like, oof, what did I say? I don't know.
You're going to go and
This
read it right after this,
this
aren't you?
could have gone one of two ways, and I'm glad it went well.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
thank you so much for having me. I hope I get to see you in New York soon.
Yeah, no, we'll be there. So we're looking forward to seeing you as well.
All
Cool.
right.
Well, I'll just wrap us up. Yeah, thanks again for everyone for joining us on Looks Good From Here. And we hope you've enjoyed a sneak peek behind the pixels and that you find Kristine's work in the description of all this video. And don't forget to subscribe for more conversations with other creatives shaping life online. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.